Now, step 6 with the influencers who are really, really important to you, I want you to create a list of them so that you can tap into their tweets pretty easily. As you start building a big following on Twitter, you cannot watch every tweet. So you really want to create a list of the people that you retweet, the people who are influencers in your target market, CEOs of companies maybe that you want to do business with, and so that you can tap into their tweets pretty easily and see what's going on. So, the list service there at Twitter's fine for that. It's good. So, I like to say that lists are a bit like Twitter's filing cabinets. Initially, you don't think they're very important, but, once you've got a big following, really, really, really important. So start with the end in mind and literally start creating some lists right now. You might have businesses I'd love to do business with, or potential employees, or influencers, whatever. But and remember, other people can also follow your list, so make sure you call them cool names.
Exactly, and those people can see that they've been added to that list as well.
Yeah, yeah, which they like, generally speaking. We like being added to lists, so it means that we're sort of somehow important. Now, I'm very big on smart marketing, not just marketing. So, if you want media exposure, make sure you follow media and engage with them by retweeting them and adding them to your influencers as well. Big important before we start following, turn off notifications in your profile settings. It's just one button, but boy, does it make a difference, because it can be really fun when you start really growing your list and following an influence. But, you get your feel, oh, someone's following me, and especially if it's an influencer. I know someone made the comment, John Assaraf was following them, they were very excited. But before long, and believe me, long could be a day, it just completely jams up your inbox, which is not very nice and becomes really annoying. So the way to avoid that is just click no. So go do that right now. That's a really good thing to do. Now, something that I think is really, really important and very misunderstood in Twitter is, again, making sure that clarity is your best friend forever. You really, really, really want to start with the end in mind and get very clear on what you're in Twitter for. And before you start building your followers, get very clear on who your potential customers are. A lot of people don't do this, and they seem to just go random following. And I just don't really see the point of that. It's almost like doing a mass letterbox drop to people who would probably have no interest in you. You just become junk mail. But if you start getting very clear on who your potential customers are and connecting solely with those people, or looking for those people, you'll have a much better result. Because what we want to have at the end is quality and then quantity. So quality is more important than quantity. Quantity is important as well, but I'd much rather see everyone have 1,000 followers that were in their target market niched than, 1,000,000 in quantity that just totally don't listen to you and don't follow you. So you want both quality and quantity, and you do that by being smart. So, if you've got a local business, target people within your geographic area. There is no point having a global following unless you're looking at having a different sort of product. And you might have some influencers who maybe, say you're a restaurant owner, you might have some different Mexican restaurants, where you connect with the owner of that business and stuff. But generally speaking, the majority of your followers you would want to be following would be local people.
And I mean, that's a very cool thing, because, you're going to have local people say, oh, I follow them on Twitter, let's go visit and say hi in person,
Absolutely, and you can run little promos and games on there too for them.
That's exactly it.
Now, look, there's, again, no point following men if your target market's women. You will still get men following you, which is fine, you can follow them back, but don't go out actively targeting them, is what I'm suggesting. So, set some real clear guidelines about who you want to see you, and hear about you. So who are your customers? and go after those people first. They're the ones that are really going to make a big difference to you and your business. So you will find that on Twitter there's a lot of um, training managers, corporate CEOs and everything. So, again, if you're selling, like I've got a real estate thing, we'll follow heads within the real estate industry, and they'll follow those tweets. So just again, be smart. So what we want you to have and remember is that a lot of people just keep talking about growing followers. Look, growing followers is easy, but it's not worth it. It's about growing targeted followers. That's the key. That's what's smart, and that's what makes a big difference within Twitter. And it's so important. I often think it's the difference between success and failure on Twitter. So be strategic, because I definitely, and I'm sure you do too, we want to see you succeed on Twitter. All right, here goes. Now, remember those influencers you followed. We're finally getting ready to you actually doing some following. I want you to go into their followers lists and follow them. So I don't want you to follow all of their followers, but take, say, their most recent 100, because they're probably quite active. Keep in mind those guidelines and make sure that 100 are a great fit. So what we want you to do is follow the most recent 100 that fit within your business. So you might have to go through 300 of their most recent followers to get 100 that fit, but do that. It's worth the time and the effort initially. And then, once you've done that, move to your next influencer and repeat the process. Pretty simple, huh? Hey, Jeannie Joel.
Exactly. No, it's quite simple. But another tip there when you're going through the list is look for the genuine people as well. As we talked about earlier, if people don't have their customized image or profile, that's a really important thing.
Look, and yeah, absolutely. Keep those guidelines in mind.
Yep.
Now, keep going until Twitter stops you, and it will. Have you been stopped by Twitter yet, Joel?
I certainly have. Yes, quite a few times.
I remember. Your first goal is 2,000 followers, and that sounds like not. I guess at 0 it sounds like a large number. It's not that large a number. But it is the first step. They do sometimes, Twitter's cheeky and fun, and they do like to change things up on you a little bit. So if they see you aggressively following too many people every day, they'll just put a hold on your account. They can actually put you in Twitter jail. I've been there. And luckily for me, my Twitter followers were very upset. And I did have multiple accounts. I do have multiple accounts. So they tweeted from other accounts, and, I was out of jail within 24 hours when they realised that my followers were in fact targeted, engaged, and it was all fine. So just, don't worry too much about Twitter jail. If you've got an engaged following, they will save you. So there's a 10% variance allowance on Twitter that we talked about a little bit earlier. So you can only actually follow 10% more than are following you. So once you've got 2,000, that means you're able to follow 2,200. Obviously as the numbers go up, the influence goes up and the variance goes up. So they don't seem to change the 10%. But up until 2,000, generally speaking, they're pretty easygoing, but they will not budge until you've hit 2,000 to give you that 2,200. So the numbers I like to recommend that people look at is around 200 a day. So, is about the maximum probably that you can do. And I'd probably do that 3 or 4 times a week. Probably two times a week's enough. Because what you want to do is follow them first, and then you have to give them time to follow you back.
To basically check you out and see, are you a decent person to follow, and will you be adding to their conversation and giving them insightful tips?
Yep. So, but as I said, it's really important that you do clear those out. So it's up to you on the time frame. If you want to be aggressive and build a following fast, then I would probably look at doing it twice a week. Or doing, say, 50 or 100 every day, rather than doing 1,000 one day a week. Twitter won't like that. They'd rather see you do a little bit every day.
They'll
So,
consider you spammy. That's the thing. If you do too much of one thing all at once, you'll be seen as spammy.
yeah. So no, you can definitely target, say, 200 at a time, and that keeps it pretty easy to manage your unfollowing and all that sort of stuff as well. And it doesn't take too long to do that. Now, this is going to be a controversial little comment, Jeannie, Joel, that I'm about to make.
Okay, I haven't heard about this.
It's very anti what everyone else says. I would not automate yet. There's so many people sitting there saying automate, automate, automate. I am huge on leverage. I am huge on automation when it's going to do you a service. I think that in your initial days of Twitter, when you're building that initial following, you don't automate. You need to actually get in there, engage, make sure you're getting the right sort of quality people. And I've put in there, Joel, why not Genies? And it's simply because, and believe me, I've looked at all of them, there is no automated software yet that gives you this kind of quality.
Well, that's right. You don't want people looking at you going, "Oh, they're just a robot." You know, that it's very clear that you're not there sitting, in front of the computer and having that interaction. It's very clear when you use this software.
Yeah. So, I'd rather see you 10 minutes or 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, or 15 minutes during the day, getting in there and just literally saying, okay, I'm going in to find an influencer, I'm following their next 100. I'm going in the next 15-minute window to unfollow the people who haven't followed me back from, the first 100. That is smart, that will work, and that is good time management. You can waste an awful lot of time on Twitter. I know, I've done it, and get, engaged in a million conversations. So you do have to be fairly rigorous with your time management so that you don't do that. But, in terms of automation, please wait until you know Twitter is for you and that you've got a body of tweets so that you can actually set them up in your scheduling system. A lot of people get into Twitter and get out of Twitter. A lot of people are there, they've set up accounts they haven't ever tweeted. Make sure that if, and I'm not going to say that, obviously I'm huge on Twitter. I love Twitter. I've been known to be a Twitterholic at times, but we have to make sure that Twitter's right for you. And I believe it is, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. You need to have it as part of a social media strategy. So wait before you automate, please. You can have 2,000 or more fabulous followers, and then let's talk about it. Because 2,000 interested followers is better than 100,000 uninterested ones. So, in this world of instant gratification, and which is also another reason Twitter's so powerful because it's so instant, I'm asking you to think long-term and just don't be in too much of a hurry. We can be aggressive, but we need to be smart. Okay, Jeannie, Joel, next step is to promote to your existing offline clients. So you can go and check your current contacts and emails and find out who's already on Twitter. It would make sense to me for you to go and connect with those people first. They already know you and like you, and so Twitter will help build up a level of engagement.
Exactly. They're going to go in straight away and follow you. If they already know you, that's a no-brainer.
Yep. And if you've already got, say you use Outlook and rather than Gmail, you can actually import it into Gmail, your Outlook account, and then it will actually search for people on Twitter. That can be a good way to do it. You don't necessarily have to keep them there. You can still use Outlook, but that can be a good way to get some people pretty quickly. We usually know a lot more people than what we realise. So, I'd follow people that are already in your database and say, hi, I've just joined Twitter. And then I would add Twitter to your business card, your email signature, any posters, any offline advertising you're doing, naturally your blog and your Facebook fan page as well, so that people realise that they can engage with you on Twitter as well as everywhere else.